I do not believe that you should rely on Western medicine if you are wanting to heal yourself. But if there is a car accident or a heart attack, I believe that it's here for a reason. I just believe we need to have more of bridging between traditional and Western.
What's unfortunate that something really drastic has to happen to us for us to understand that we need to start really looking out for our health.
I had a worm in my broccoli that I grew myself. They're coming from the dirt. It's all natural. This is natural. This is Mother Nature. And they're here to decompose. I do not believe that you should have parasites in your body.
When you talk about these things like a worm in someone's brain, it just sounds like a movie. It's very sci-fi, but these things are really out there. Like parasites actually live in our bodies. And the worst part is that they live in the bodies of our little children.
They're peeing and pooping and our body doesn't know what to do. So if you are deworming and you get a huge ammonia taste in your mouth, more than likely it's because you just had a worm just pee.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to introduce you to a very good friend of mine who I've met and have had some associations with. And her name is Kim Rogers, known as the Worm Queen on TikTok, on Instagram, and not only here in the States, but worldwide. She is phenomenal. She has worked with so many people in relating to mushrooms and also her wonderful cleanse system, Rogers Hood. I want to introduce you to her because she talks about tapeworms and all kinds of worms and heavy metals and mold related to our bodies. And why I wanted to bring her on is because there's so many people that are chronically ill, and majority of the time it's due to these parasites. We're talking about parasites here. Yes, they do exist. They live in our bodies. Sometimes we can have 300 to 400 of them, but there are thousands of them that are not even discovered yet. Why I wanted to bring her on is because, again, chronic illness is severe, and it was really important to have on somebody that educates us on tapeworms, on these parasites, how we can get rid of them. She teaches on how to properly cook our food, where to look for these parasites, how to properly wash our produce, where these worms are in our produce, and overall how parasites affect our body, what our negative symptoms are. She talked about how it's related to MS, how it's related to cancer, some tumors. Overall, it was a very scholarly conversation. I do have to say that it might be a trigger warning for some because it was a pretty gnarly description and conversation. But if your stomach can handle it, I highly recommend for you guys to watch this podcast with Kim because it was full of information on parasites. She does talk about the cleanse, what ingredients she entails in the cleanse, what teas we can take, what sometimes pills that we can take from foreign countries that can help de-cleanse us. Most importantly, I want you guys to really hold in on the symptoms of what you might experience that entails and gives it away that you have parasites. So wait and enjoy this podcast. And you might want to listen to this with a friend or your family too. It's not just for yourself. I think anybody in the family could enjoy it. Make sure to also subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, everything that you guys have been doing to support me in the podcast, and enjoy this amazing show with Kim Rogers. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
I'm so happy that you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I actually, to everybody, I wanted to kind of say how I run into you. Mm-hmm. So I found you on TikTok and you had an amazing video on worms, and I was just fascinated, and you were like pointing to the worms, and I was like, what is this? And it was actually about parasites. So I was intrigued by that, but I love your entire purpose. Thanks. I really do. I love your page, both pages on TikTok and on Instagram. I think that you're doing a phenomenal job helping people and waking up people to this. Yeah. So tell us, how did you get into this field? And you are the worm queen, so you're very well seasoned in this. So tell us, how did you get into this? What happened that you found this interest?
The worm queen. I laugh every time I say it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just fun but funny. And
It is funny, actually.
it is, right? Who would think that someone could be the worm queen? Like, honestly, it was better than the worm lady. That's the joke. I didn't want to be known as the worm lady. TikTok deemed me worm queen, so it wasn't like I gave it to myself. But
Yeah.
I just
Well, you are. You're so
all things
knowledgeable
worm.
in this. Yes.
Thanks. It's kind of
What?
I guess this is why I'm here. I know this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
I know I was put here so that we could have discussions about holistic medicine and healing the body and traditional ways of doing it, and just really understanding that there are things out there to help you heal. And that's totally what happened for me. So I was on the trail, right, of Western medicine. I worked in Western medicine since 2004.
Uh-huh.
I ended up getting 2 healthcare degrees. I was a professor. I authored books. I did all the things, but my health was terrible. I was declining in my health around 2015. I started to really decline. I had had 13 surgeries, a hysterectomy by the time I was 29. And I'd been on 2 rounds of like Lupron, which is a form of chemo. It kind of ate my bones. So I really was not doing well at
Oh
all.
my goodness, Kim.
And we ended up trying to figure out how to heal me because I had had so many surgeries I couldn't have anymore. And I showed you guys a picture of what I looked like
I
before.
did. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tell us, what do you think was going on with your body? What was contributing to this health decline?
I feel like for sure I know it was Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which kills puppies. That is what I had from contaminated water. Mm-hmm. Our water in our log home. So I really believed that
Wow.
I had pinworms prior because I had my appendix removed, and a lot of people that have their appendix removed actually have pinworms. That's where they live and reside. And so a lot, yeah.
So
So
water.
water.
From water.
From my, well, yeah. So the second half of all of like my health declining was after we moved to our property where there's contaminated water
And where is this?
in Hoodsport, Washington. That's where Mrs. Rogers' hood came from.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you find out that it was from water?
So in 2021, I did the parasite cleanse with another company. And I saw the worms and I saw all the things in the toilet, flukes, pinworms, roundworm. And then I still wasn't getting better even after doing like 30 full days of Paragard. It ripped my stomach up. I was having a lot of health issues still from it. And I was like, why, if I'm continuing to cleanse like this? So it was like June, July, I started to wrap up cleansing and I still was seeing things. I still wasn't feeling good. And then around August, I started again. And then around the end of August, I started to figure out it can't just be from our food. Like something else has happened that I'm still this sick with this. And so I got my stool tested from an independent lab. Because LabCorp just doesn't really, you have to have a practitioner to test that
Yes.
stool, and there's just no really accurate testing out there for parasites in Western medicine countries.
Wow.
I don't know why.
What was the test called particularly so that
It's just a stool test.
just a stool
Yep, for
test that
parasites.
determines for parasites?
Mhm.
Okay.
He does like 37 different parasites and worms. Like
So that's how
physical
many
ones.
types of parasites there are?
You can't, there's thousands. But
No
they only
way.
test they're only capable of testing for around 35, 40.
How do we get these parasites in our body? How do they appear in our body? Is it from just contaminated water or it's from food? I mean, people love sushi. I know that. Salmon?
Salmon's a big one.
How-
Undercooked pork, dirt. When you go out and you are walking barefoot, by no means am I saying don't ground, but I am saying that have an area where if you're going to ground in that area, make sure your pet isn't going to the bathroom there because pets carry parasites. So if you have a pet, you should be deworming. You deworm your pet, you need to deworm yourself, and you should all do it at the same time. So that's an issue that a lot of pet owners don't know they should be deworming.
I've seen parasites in bananas.
Did you see that one video where
It was your video. Is
I mean,
that,
that's on
is that banana organic at least?
I don't believe organic is any better than non-organic. In
So how
fact,
do they
organic doesn't
appear
have
there?
the pesticides, right? So the pesticides are keeping those bugs off of there. That's why I always say soak your produce. Whether it's even at your house. I had a worm in my broccoli that I grew myself. They're coming from the dirt. It's all natural. This is natural. This is Mother Nature. And they're here to decompose. I do not believe that you should have parasites in your body.
So I was just going to ask, is it natural to have parasites in our bodies?
I don't
'Cause
believe
a lot of
so.
GI doctors are saying you have natural ones in your microbiomes. I don't know how
Right.
realistic that is. So you disagree with that?
I do disagree because they're stealing nutrients.
They are.
They're not necessarily doing everything that they're saying they should be doing. They hold those heavy metals. So that's a really big reason why they say you should have them, because they absorb heavy metals. They can absorb 6 times their weight in spores, viruses, bacteria, and heavy metals.
And so basically they're just multiplying.
Right. That's what they do. That's their job. But they're also in our bodies because they're breaking things down. So that's why they also feel like you should have them, because they're decomposers. That's what they go in. So there's something going on in your body that's the root cause of why you have them. That's really where they're saying you should have them. But in my case, it was because I had a lot of scar tissue from all my surgeries. I had endometriosis. I have Lyme. So all of those are justified why they should be in the body, breaking down whatever is going on in your body.
So let's go back. So
Yeah.
basically parasites, we consume them.
Correct.
But don't we chew our food? This is where my confusion comes in. Like, don't we chew our food?
They're microscopic.
What does that mean?
They're just, you can't see them with the naked eye. They're
So to
just
chew
mic-
your food 30 times does not, does
That's to
not
help your
matter.
digestion.
That's
Yeah,
to
because you're
help.
not always physically eating the worm. Like with salmon, right? It's a good example with the salmon because you can see the worm in the salmon.
Yes, I've seen a lot of people like pinpoint, oh, look, like this is not salmon. This is the parasite. This
Right.
is the worm.
So if they take that out, there's still microscopic eggs that can be in that salmon.
Oh, crap.
It's not the physical part you have to worry about. Yeah, that's gone.
What
It's-
about cooked?
Well, I mean, that one video, did you see that one where I showed it and it was frozen, flash frozen, and it was wild caught, and then they also cooked it and they pulled it out and it was still there? They say 212. That's what the CDC says.
It says what?
Well, the CDC says to cook all of your
I
stuff
don't trust
by
the
one.
CDC for
No
one
one
minute. I
does.
know. But I trust you. What did you
They
just
say 175. I say 212 because that's boiling
212. Oh, you
Yeah.
mean like the
temperature.
The temperature.
Yeah, then they should die because when you boil something, it's dead. That's why you boil your water, by the way. When like if a pipe breaks, they say boil your water. It's so you don't get a parasite, Giardia, crypto, or D. fragilis. Yeah, and you know, foodborne illness that's at the bottom, that's a parasite. Like at the bottom of a menu where it says foodborne illness, that's a parasite.
What do you mean?
They say don't eat raw food
Yes.
at the bottom of a menu, that it could
I've
contain
never
a foodborne
caught that because
illness.
I've never
Yeah.
considered eating raw food. Well, sushi, technically.
Well, raw produce, raw lettuce, raw sushi, raw pork, like any of those things raw can produce a foodborne illness, which is a parasite.
So tell us exactly what fruits these parasites are in. Are there any that they don't?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah. Because they, especially because of the sugar, they thrive off of sugar. That's why when you have a parasite and you're craving sugar, because that's really their like love. They love
So you crave it because you might have parasites.
Right. You're
that are-
craving it specifically because they're craving it, not because you're craving it. Like, because they can control your mind.
No. Okay. So tell us about that a little bit. How can they control our mind if they're living in our first brain is our
Gut.
gut.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us how they control. What does that process look like?
Well, they're energetic beings. So they're going in and they're telling these bodies to do these things. And one thing I do talk a lot about is toxoplasmosis. So let me break it down.
Please.
Toxoplasmosis is the cat parasite. And what happens is a mouse actually has toxo and goes and cuddles up to the cat because toxo removes any fear. So it removes that fear factor that you normally have in your body. So it's cuddling up to the cat to be eaten because the next stage of toxo is in the cat's gut. So think about it. The mouse has been mind controlled to go and get eaten by the cat.
Oh my gosh, Kim, this is why they say pregnant ladies.
Yes, but
do
all of
not
us can get it. Not just pregnant ladies. I think that their wording was terrible.
Yeah, they mentioned. I remember specifically reading an article that said if you're pregnant, do not get close to a cat litter.
Yeah, because they don't want you to give it to your baby. They don't want you to then have a baby that has a whole bunch of problems. Patricia Arquette actually has toxoplasmosis, and her child has it as well. She's a huge toxoplasmosis.
So this is a lifetime thing?
Yeah, you can't ever get rid of it. 40 million people in the United States that just came out on at the beginning of August. 40 million people in the United States has toxoplasmosis. Not in the world, just in the United States.
Why just here?
Because we don't really test for it. It's not something that's our go-to. Mental health is really a huge factor. They actually did a study on cadavers and that were like crotch rocket riders, and 100% of them came back that had toxoplasmosis because it removes that fear. You don't have any fear when you have toxoplasmosis.
Oh my goodness, how dangerous is it living like that though?
Oh, it's so dangerous. You're like sexually promiscuous. It removes that. And then they all have their own frequency. So they probably sit there and talk with each other. You're like looking at me all shocked.
Yeah.
It's shocking, right?
It is shocking. And
Yeah.
earlier we were just talking about this conscious piece that this is so important for people to be aware of and understand. This is your health. Do you agree that during the past 10 years, there has been such a huge health decline
Yeah.
in human beings, and just USA specifically? I mean, we are known as the most unhealthiest country in reference to like obesity and other things. But do you agree that we are a very unhealthy country?
Oh, yeah. I think we're one of the top unhealthiest countries, to be honest.
What is your perspective? Like, what are we doing wrong other than contaminated water and foods? Like, what other things what are you discovering?
We don't cleanse our
Okay.
bodies. Like, we're not
Okay.
going in and being like, oh, so there's heavy metals. There's, you get an overgrowth of candida. That's just yeast. It's overgrowing. We're not taught that you got to calm that yeast down. That yeast, that overgrowth can cause skin issues. It can cause a lot of health issues. We're not taught to do these things in a society. We rely all on our doctors. We will not take the initiative to do this ourselves. And when you have someone that's taking that initiative, we call them grifters and like they're trying to scam us. That's really where our society has run to, when really it's like, grab yourself some cilantro and eat a bunch of cilantro because you're going to help remove those heavy metals. So there's really a lot of reasoning behind why food is really like the best way to help your bodies. I think we just got away from that over the last 10 years.
I agree.
And I'm guilty of it. Like, I am totally guilty of it. I come from Western medicine. I believe everything, no, I don't believe everything, but I believed in what I was doing. Yeah, I believed in what I was doing. I was confident that I was making a difference in what I was doing.
What changed?
I got so sick.
The illnesses?
Yeah, I got really sick. So in 2015, I got really sick and my health really declined more. And then in 2019, my health was at the worst. I was basically bedridden, and my husband had to quit his job. We were a one-income household at the time. I used to run colleges, and I went from running colleges to not being able to function. And so I couldn't make the bed. I couldn't cook for us. I couldn't clean for us anymore. And so we ended up selling our whole life and moving out to our property and building our own log home.
You know what's unfortunate? That something really drastic has to happen to us for us to understand that we need to start really looking out for our health. And that's so unfortunate. Like I genuinely want everybody to follow you, your guide. I think that your cleanse. So talk about your cleanse system, because I think it's phenomenal. Yes, Parify. I've done it, and I had my son do it. We did the Parasite and the heavy metal cleanse. And I can't tell you, it's not easy. I have to be honest, and I want to be very transparent about my experience. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I think definitely when your body is going through that withdrawal, I would call it. It really is. So I think the day 14 or 15 was really hard for me, but then I think I feel that it gets better and better and better. And then, wow, like you can actually think and focus. I also believe like a little bit of that ADHD symptoms, it just diminishes completely because that brain fog goes away.
Yeah.
You're not as stressed anymore. You're able to function, and I feel lighter. So I think it's phenomenal.
I always feel lighter.
Yeah, you do feel lighter, actually.
Yeah.
That's one of the wonderful things that I loved about your cleanse. how did you discover this? Tell us about this.
Well, I had a lot of downloads from my higher self. It helped a lot too. I know that sounds
Yeah.
pretty wild, but when I was in the thick of it, really trying to heal myself, I lived in the woods and we grew mushrooms so that I could protect my brain. That
My
really is
goodness.
ultimately what we ended up doing, was protecting my brain. But I would look around and I'd be like, what is like the usnea? Like there's usnea coming from the trees, like hanging from the trees. What does that do? Like, what is that for? And then I looked around and there was Oregon grapefruit, which is an anti-parasitic. I'm like, well, what does this do? And so I just kind of started to really hone in on Mother Nature and figure out different ways for me to heal my body, because the synthetic medications were not working for me. And I needed to get off of everything. I needed to just reset my body and figure something out. And if I need to do that, how many other people really needed to do that? So then I just really started looking into herbs. And after I did my first cleanse and I looked at all the herbs that were in there, I ended up going, okay, well, I don't just like wormwood. I like wormwood with Oregon grapefruit. I like usnea. Usnea helps with bacteria and viruses. It also helps suppress your appetite. So while you're deworming, they're wanting to be fed so they can stay alive. Well, I don't want that. My first cleanse, I was eating burgers and ice cream, and I don't even eat that kind of food anymore. And I was craving it. I wasn't craving it. They were craving it because they need energy in order to stay alive, and I need to get rid of them. So I picked herbs that would do that. So Oregon grapefruit helps suppress your appetite and inflammation. You got usnea that helps curb your appetite so that you're not hungry while you're cleansing. You have intestinal parasites. You have physical, you got to find all the ailments, and then you got to find the herb that's going to help that ailment. And so I just picked a symphony of herbs in order for all of the ailments to reach that frequency. So I always say that when you're like in an opera and the opera singer sings and breaks that glass, her voice got to that frequency, so the glass shattered. If you can find the same frequency of the ailment, you can do the same thing with an herb. And that's what I did. I just really wanted it to be a full body, not just, oh, well, parasites, that's it. I needed it to be heavy metals too, because you're dropping you're dropping the metals while you're deworming. So how do you sweep those metals out so then you don't have to do another heavy metal detox? It's all there.
Would you say that you've completely healed yourself with these herbs?
Yeah.
Was it hard? And did it take a while?
Yeah.
And I think I love that. First of all, I'm so happy that you did that.
Thanks.
I congratulate you, because it's not easy. I think
This was hard.
it is hard, Kim. And I think people always are searching for instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
That's why we turn to medicine, because it just makes us feel good in a couple of hours. But holistic medicine or traditional medicine, holistic, I think, has been around for about 100 years, right?
Where we're at now, Western's been around 100 years.
Yeah. So,
What we're doing now has been around for thousands of years.
so it's traditional.
Yeah,
correct?
traditional medicine,
medicine.
is old. It's Eastern medicine. So Eastern and
Yes.
Western. Western medicine's been
Yes.
around since 1924.
Yes.
That's when Rockefeller took over and made all of the herb DNA structure synthetic,
yeah.
so that they could pump them out and put them in our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that Eastern portion of it, people are not really ready to take that
Right.
on, because we are so used to having it here and now immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take this pain. And it's a long road.
It is.
So I thank you for sharing
Aw.
that. And I genuinely, I am so happy that you did that, because people follow other people's stories.
Mhm.
I personally do not believe in medical doctors anymore,
Mhm.
because there's just so much there that I don't really want to get into, because it'll take over.
Yeah.
It's your show today, but I don't. And when I see a person genuinely share their holistic or their traditional approach, I get happy to hear that. Do you have all the herbs memorized
in our tinctures?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can we briefly go over all of them? I didn't bring
Yeah.
just thought just came up, but I want to kind of go over all the herbs and what they do exactly.
Yeah. I want to go back to the Western medicine.
Please.
I believe we need it. I believe to save our lives, we
in
need
certain
Western medicine.
cases.
I do not believe that you should rely on Western medicine if you are wanting to
Yeah.
heal yourself. But if
Yeah.
there is a car accident or a heart attack, I mean, I've had to have, emergency surgeries. I believe that it's here for a reason. I just believe we need to have more of bridging between traditional and Western. And
Yeah.
in a lot of cases, they say Eastern and Western.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's more of a traditional because you're bringing in holistic remedies like red light, castor oil. Yes, castor oil comes from Eastern, but the way that we're utilizing it in the life that we live now, it's more a traditional type of
Right.
medicine that we're looking at. So I don't believe Western medicine should go completely away, but I believe our mindsets from the indoctrination that we've had specifically about Western medicine, that needs to change as a society.
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
why I'm saying that? Because
Yeah.
of that information.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I get discouraged. So, but if the information is there that, doctors provide, not just shove medicine down your throat and
Right.
send you off to chemo and this and that, then maybe somebody like me would have place to have a little bit of respect.
For sure.
But you just get so sick and tired and
Right.
discouraged.
You're
So
gaslit.
you're gaslit, and all you have to say is negative things.
Yep. And
you
we're
know?
taught that the medications is what the ailment is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're taught in classical, traditional medical. So,
Until we wake up.
right. And then as soon as you wake up, then you can utilize that to your benefit.
Yeah.
You can turn and look like I did. Oh, well, that's all they did. That's all they did was look at, oh, this medicine is going to help this ailment. That's all I did with herbs. And our bodies can synthesize the herbs. We can't do that with the synthetic medications. Our bodies are being really just bogged down with everything.
Yeah. And not only hurting other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about all the side effects of synthetic
Yes.
medicine,
Yeah.
It's like it does one thing but hurts another.
Right. You're like, oh, so I got rid of the headache, yet my stomach I've got ulcers now. So now I got to take some.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They're like,
That's right.
here's the next thing. Here's your next thing. So it really is our responsibility, though, to be our
Yes.
own patient advocate.
Yes.
And that's what I push. I've always pushed for that my whole life. And I probably have lost a lot of doctors in my own personal life as well as my professional life because I'm like, you got to step up. And I am my own advocate. I fight for myself every single chance I get when it comes into the doctor because I'm the one that has to lay down at night thinking of all of the things and how would I treat this body and what did I do for my body. So really it is a responsibility of you as a human being to do that.
I agree with you. And this is why I have people like you on the show so that people can literally wake up and take charge of their life. I think a lot of people are ran by fear and not knowledge and the belief in themselves or the belief in food, the belief in herbs. Like, look at Mother Nature. Look at all these amazing.
She's amazing.
She is wonderful,
She's
right?
amazing. You know that she can respond with an herb of what you need, a plant, by your DNA cells.
Yeah.
You can go outside and she'll know what you need as a whole.
That's what grounding is for.
She's
But
beautiful.
don't ground where your pets are.
Oh, don't. Diatomaceous earth. If you just put a little square and you know that's your grounding area, just don't let your dog or any other animal. I mean, that's difficult to not know if a deer, like we lived in the woods, so it's deer coming. You just got to be conscientious.
Right.
You got to ground. You do. You have to do all the things. But there are a lot more modalities in life now that you don't have to go out and ground, but it's a great way to connect.
There's grounding shoes, actually. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, probably so you don't get parasites.
Yeah. Actually, I had a client introduce me to one. I'm like, this is phenomenal. He's all about grounding. And he's like, there's these grounding shoes so you don't have to go out in the woods barefoot by yourself anymore.
Yeah.
You can just ground.
Nice.
I know. I'll
That's
send it to you. It's
nice.
actually phenomenal.
Okay.
But all right, let's go back to the ingredients.
Okay.
Tell me the ingredients. I'm so fascinated to hear about these Mother Nature beautiful herbs that you've discovered.
Okay, so Parafy is the main parasite cleanse. There's 3 tinctures. So Parafy is the main cleanse. It has wormwood, black walnut hull, hawthorn berry, which is good for tapeworms. Actually, a lot of people have tapeworms and don't even know it. So if you do, you should do a lot of hawthorn berry, clove, and garlic. And so we soak our herbs for 5 to 8 weeks, and then we process our own tinctures. We have our own manufacturing facility. It's 10,000 square feet in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So we do our own products. We're third-party tested. We really take a lot of, this is very serious. We take a lot of pride in what we're doing.
You should.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like,
You
I think what
should.
we're doing is just super cool.
It is.
So that's Parify.
Yes.
And then Sustain, which is my favorite tincture.
Yes,
actually.
that helped me a lot.
Oh, it's so good.
It helped me a lot
It's
because
so
I was
good.
feeling a little off, but it
Yeah.
kept me at balance. So
Yeah.
I liked it. So what's in that one?
Oregon grapefruit,
Uh-huh.
usnea, which is foraged, and then peppermint. And
Usnea?
That's it. Usnea.
What is that for?
It's old man's beard. So when you're going into like the forest or rainforest and you see all that coolness coming from the trees, that's usnea. And that helps go in and sweep out bad bacteria, viruses that they're holding on to. So you can do you could do just Parify, but unfortunately, the parasites are going to be dropping viruses, heavy metals, which is why we did Metal Flush, which is our third tincture that's in the Parify kit. We did all of that specifically because you got to come in and sweep that out immediately, or your body's going to absorb it and you're going to run into more problems. It also helps with candida. It breaks the candida down. So Parify is your parasite cleanse, Sustain is your candida cleanse, and then Metal Flush is your heavy metal cleanse.
It tastes horrible.
Which one, Parify? It's
Heavy
spicy.
metal.
You don't like Metal Flush?
No.
Oh, that's the cilantro. Do you eat cilantro?
I love it, but
You do?
I so and so.
So that
In
one
salads,
has,
yes. By itself, no.
No. What does
It
it,
was-
taste like
it-
to you?
it was
Does
very
taste
bitter.
soapy and bitter?
Yeah.
Really? Metal Flush was bitter? That's
Yeah.
our sweetest one.
No way.
That's
Something's
crazy.
off
I'm
then.
like, I wonder what it's in there for you not to
Yeah.
like it. Because it just has dandelion.
But I don't care, as
It's
long
the
as-
dandelion root. Dandelion root can be
Oh,
bitter.
yeah,
Do
it's
you-
very
do you
bitter.
drink?
I do.
Yeah.
I love dandelion.
Really?
root
What's
tea.
going on?
But I drink it with cinnamon sugar cubes, so maybe that's why.
Maybe.
But yeah, but who cares? It helps. It works. That's the most important thing. Okay, so that helps with the heavy metals.
Right. So Metal Flush.
Metal
and then
Flush.
it also helps with liver support. So Metal Flush is really a very big support tincture. Not only are we helping target heavy metals, but we're also willow bark, which is in there, helps with pain. So it's sometimes can be very
Yes.
painful.
I had muscle aches.
Yeah. So you can actually increase Metal Flush.
Yeah.
You can increase Sustain as well to 3 times a day. So because they're tinctures and it's really tailored to what's best fitting for you. It's not just so pill based, right? Metal Flush is really great because it helps release those metals, which then releases the parasites. So you can actually have a much better cleanse and have better results. When we added that in, people saw double the worms than they did
Oh
before.
my goodness.
Yeah.
How many worms does an average person have in their body?
You can have up to like 300 or 400 that they know about.
But there's thousands of them.
There's thousands.
Are
Yeah,
there ones that we haven't discovered yet?
I think so. They say there is. Did you hear about that lady that had a worm in her brain in 2021? She ate a piece of like lettuce that a snake went over. It was in Australia. Did you see that? Well, they say that was the first of a kind. But to me, it just looked like a roundworm in her brain. They actually opened her brain. They thought she had the C word. They opened her brain.
She thought it had a what?
The C word, the word ends in an R. They opened up
Oh.
her brain, and when they got in there, it was like this tumor, and it all of a sudden a live worm came out. It freaked the neurosurgeon out.
This is real stuff, Kim.
It's real. It's real.
It just feels
Like
gnarly.
sci-fi. I live it
Mhm.
every day. I'm like, how is this possible? How is this all possible? Like, how is some
Did
video
she not
from
chew
TikTok?
that lettuce?
Well,
How
it's
the hell did
micro-
it get
it's
into the brain?
because they're microscopic eggs. So
Oh,
if-
so the okay, yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned
so then it
that.
migrates
It's-
into your lymphatic system, which then can migrate into your spinal fluid, which then can just like MS. That's where a lot of those spikes come from.
the
and
body
MS.
spikes
Yeah.
in the spinal.
Yeah.
area?
It's because they could potentially be moving and then actually reforming in the spine. They're like making
Oh
homes.
my lord.
Yeah.
So what did that lady experience with the worm in her brain?
She just experienced headaches. She had a change in personality, terrible brain fog, constant headaches. Like she started to lose some vision in one of her eyes. So that's what brought her to the neurologist. She had a lot of abdominal issues.
How did they find it?
They went in and they were going to remove a tumor that they thought was the C.
Do you feel like the tumor was created by the
Oh,
parasite?
it was the parasite. It was
So
the
the tumor
parasite.
was the parasite.
Yeah.
And they thought it was like a tumor.
Yeah. They thought it was a tumor. So they were going in to remove it.
My
And
Lord.
it popped out and scared the neurosurgeon. She pulled out the worm,
This is
stuck it in it. And
horrible.
I have like videos and pictures. Yeah.
Where do you get these stories?
People, they love sending them to me. They love it. They love every day I have something new. Every day. I literally have like tens of thousands of things on my phone I just can't get to. Pictures, articles, studies. I like to read a lot.
I can tell.
Yeah, I like to research.
You are definitely a scholar.
Yeah.
I can tell.
I had 2 valedictorian degrees.
Well, they come in handy. They come in handy, right?
Yeah, I have an associate's in medical specialties and a bachelor's in healthcare management, and then I'm only a few classes away from my master's.
In?
Whatever I would like,
That's
healthcare
amazing.
somehow.
Good
But
for you.
then I got really sick. I actually just graduated from college when my health really started declining in 14, 15.
I just wish that more people, my goodness, are because look, when you talk about these things like a worm in someone's brain, it just sounds like a movie. It's very sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's like you can't really connect.
Right.
But these things are really out there. Like parasites actually live in our bodies. And the worst part is that they live in the bodies of our little children.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why you say that it is safe for children 3 and up.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about this, though. Why only once a day for kids and 3 times a day for us?
That's just a recommendation. You can do 3 times a day.
okay.
You can do 1 to 3 times a day. That's why we put 1 to 3. So we want you to tailor it to their behavior, to their bodies.
Okay.
We didn't want to come in and tell you what to do because
Yeah.
some kids can't take it 3 times a day. Some kids can champ it down 3 times a day. So ages 3 to 10, we're really conscientious to have you just do it 1 to 3 times a day. 15 drops, but you could do 5 drops. You know, it's tinctures, so it's really great to be able to mix and match and do what best fits you. After the age of 10, they're more responsive and they can tell you more of what's going on.
Yeah.
And so then we say, just go to the adult. There really is no change after 10 years old. They should just be doing it 3 times a day.
Tell us a little bit about the side effects of Parasite.
I mean, die-offs are terrible.
They are.
Headaches, flu-like symptoms.
Body aches were horrible.
Body aches. You're going to have a lot of joint pain because they're in our joints.
The parasites are.
Yeah, they're in our joints.
gosh.
Inflammation. I mean, it's a parasite cleanse, but it's doing more to you. It's helping rinse out your liver, which is super, super toxic nowadays.
Yes.
Our livers are very toxic. It's the last place. It's really like our sewer system organ, you know, it's going in and it's trying to clean everything out and get rid of things and move things. And it's just really taxed on a daily, and heavy metals sit in there and flukes sit in there going in and out of the liver, creating like almost like scars or adhesions, issues in our livers. So
Wow. So basically the die-offs, is that what it was called? The
Die-offs.
die-offs are there because it's the parasites and the metals are
dying
leaving
off.
your body.
yeah,
And that's why you're noticing those heavy symptoms.
they're peeing and pooping and our body doesn't know what to do. So if you are deworming and you get a huge ammonia taste in your mouth, more than likely it's because you just had a worm just pee. But they're also releasing their eggs so that there's another generation. And that's why we say wait 7 days between the cleanses, because that's about a cycle of any worm. 7 to 21 days is a worm cycle.
Oh my goodness.
So if you're doing back-to-backs, you'll do 30 days, you wait 7 days, and then you start again. Because at that point in time, they've released those eggs off. And you're trying to then come in and clean those eggs so that you can remove that generational cycle of theirs.
What are some of symptoms? What are we? So the people that are watching right now and they're like, okay, I'm considering Parasite, you know, like I want to, but I don't have any symptoms. What does that look like? I mean, like, what are the symptoms, and does everybody need to do this?
Oh, everyone should be doing it 3 to 4 times a year. Other countries cleanse with a pill, so they deworm at least twice a year. And other countries do it in a very cool way from what I've researched. And
What do
from
you mean by that?
So like in Jamaica, they use a tea called the bush, and the whole family does it. From generation to generation, they do that. And you're actually kind of frowned upon if you don't do it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's called the bush. Is it just
that's
one
the
herb?
tea. Yeah, it's Cerass. That's the name of it.
CER.
Ass.
Okay.
Karas. I
Okay.
think that's how you pronounce it.
And it's just one herb.
It's just one herb called the bush, and they drink a tea.
So is that in your
No.
ingredient? That's not part of your ingredients.
I just recently found out about a year ago.
So there's multiple things
There
that
are
they
lots
can.
of antiparasitics. Yeah, that they bring in traditionally. And then Mexico, they just take a pill.
In my country too.
Yeah,
And
they
it's
just take a
provided
pill.
free in schools and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, because they require you to do it prior to going to school because pinworms are like lice, like butt of the lice.
Actually, I wanted to read you the name of that.
Lice of the butt is what
Let me show
pinworms
you.
are because anyone can get them. Anyone can get them, and you can transfer them around to each other. It's not good. It's not.
It's called hold on. Zentel.
Zentel.
Yeah.
That's the name of the
That's
brand?
the name of the pill.
Okay.
But my dad's going back in a few days. I told him to bring a few.
Smart.
Yeah, I want to read the ingredients and see what it is because I remember. I mean, I went up to 3rd grade in Armenia, and I just specifically remember. And it was during the Soviet times, so you can imagine what the food was, and the water was.
I think they all deworm too. But,
Yeah. And we had a lot of lice.
Yeah.
We had lots of worms, and I remember specifically entering the class. Our English teacher was standing there handing out packets of these
Crazy.
little pills. And I was like, I took it home. I'm like, Mom, what is this? She's like, oh, it's just for parasites. And so, by the way, you know what I wanted to talk about? The crunching of the teeth. Like,
Oh yeah.
what is, I mean, that's was confirmed to me. That's not a myth, but you
Right.
tell us, like, what are some of the symptoms? Let's go back to that.
Okay. Grinding of the teeth
Yes.
because your lymphatic system is just really they're in your lymphatic system and your body is in a stress state. It's constant fight or flight because they keep us in that constant fight or flight.
The parasites do.
Yeah. Because your body's trying to attack them and it doesn't know what's going on. And then it's like, I need to go to homeostasis. Like it's trying to heal you, but it can't when these things are attacking.
Homeostasis is when it's trying to heal you.
Yeah. It's trying to get you into homeostasis. So that's
trying
where
to
we're
get
supposed
you there.
Yeah, that's where we're supposed to live. We're supposed to live it like, and when you have something energetically coming in, it's bringing your vibration down.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And they have their own vibration. They do. They have their own frequency and they can
No
talk to
way.
each other. Yeah. It's toxoplasmosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I heard that the seeds of papaya are magnetic. You shouldn't chew the seeds of the papaya, but you should swallow it whole because it has this magnifying, I don't know, component in it that just grabs the parasite and then you can just,
Yeah. I'm not a big papaya seed cleanser.
Is that real though? Do you think?
is. Yeah, they do that. There's a papaya seed cleanse and then parasites come out. I'm nervous
Ugh,
about
I'm
that.
itchy just thinking about. Sorry, do you get like this sometimes?
No.
My body just started itching. I just thought of a worm.
You're like, I just thought of what's in my body.
Nice.
And here
it's
I
so
am.
disgusting.
It's just weird.
It's
it is
so
weird.
It's gnarly.
is.
I find that word very fitting.
Gnarly?
Yeah.
You start weird. Gnarly sounds way better than weird. People are like, it is
gnarly.
weird. I'm like, it's gnarly now. I'm gonna start saying that.
It is. It's like such a beautiful way to describe it.
It is. It's so gnarly.
It's disgusting. I don't know how you. And sometimes I see your facial expressions doing the videos. You're like, ooh, because it's
Sometimes,
disgusting.
yeah. And a lot of those
Kim.
videos, I don't watch pre. I just put them on
Yeah.
green screen and I'm just
yeah.
there. So I have like a real reaction.
Imagine seeing it dead in your stool.
It's nuts. I've
That's
seen it dead in my
disgusting.
stool.
Mhm.
I've seen flukes,
Yeah,
roundworm, and pinworms just chilling in the toilet. Flukes freak me out the most. If
Why?
I had to choose between any of the weirdness, the flukes make it weird to me. Just because they're all totally different sizes.
You know what's funny
I'm
to
like
me?
about to stall
People
up
stick
because
their
I'm
head
like,
in
"Ooh."
their stool and they actually look.
They do. They're called diggers. And we've been told we should make a digging kit.
You guys
Gloves, like chopsticks. In the field, we call them ass hats. You put them on the toilet. That's what we call them. Like we could literally probably make a
Yeah.
fortune just
Well,
selling
you gotta
digging
see
kits.
it,
Yeah, people have
you
got
know?
to see it. They've got to see it. Our toilets should have that. Like we
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be
yeah.
able to see it. I think there's some countries that actually have toilets that you can check out your stool.
Yeah.
I am not a digger. If it's not floating, it's going.
I don't want to see it.
I just want to go. I just want to flush and go.
This conversation. They're actually called diggers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's 50-50 of us. Half of us dig and half of us don't. And I just, no judgment. I love diggers because I wouldn't have nearly as many pictures.
They're your best customers.
Oh, they really are, because they straight know that stuff's in their shit, It's chewing.
You give me some.
It's there. They're like, oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
We made
Try to
the
keep a straight
Parasite
face.
kit when my husband and I started this.
What?
Recipe. When we made the recipe, I had the herbs, and then he came in and helped me decide how many herbs would go in each soak. And he said, if they want to see worms, we're going to make them see worms.
And you guys are going to see. Oh my gosh. And I'll tell you though, I don't know. Those diggers have to have they have to have a strong heart to actually be able to sit with that.
They're dedicated. They want
are.
to see it. They want to know.
Mhm,
They're digging.
Yeah. I don't know what that seeing is going to do to you.
We love you, diggers.
Yes. I mean, again, they're your best They give you the best ratings.
Yeah. Because they know. Yeah, it's crazy. I would say probably the most wild, or the next one is when people do gutty. Because gutty removes mucoid plaque.
I haven't done that one.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Yeah, gutty's wild. Gutty is a whole nother realm of mucoid plaque is its own thing. And then it pulls out ropeworms, which are thick and they look like a rope, and they're usually real rubbery, and they cause a lot of back problems. And then they don't need to have any sex organs. They just can keep multiplying on their own.
Why
And they all
problems?
connect.
Wait a
They
minute.
just roll. They just go. So a lot of people think that the parasites are swimming in your intestines, but really what they're doing is
so itchy. Oh, I'm so itchy. Oh my God. I'm just going to drink my clean water. Alkaline. Look, it ain't
great.
easy. Okay.
Okay, so what the worm is doing is they're pressing up to be invisible up against a vein or intestine, because they're in our blood or
How
tissue
long
and our
are
muscle.
they?
Oh gosh, ropeworms, feet.
No
Feet.
way.
Yeah. I think it's volume 2 of the ebook that has all of my parasites in it. Volume 2 is the ropeworm volume.
How did it get in the body?
Oh my God.
Same thing?
They really don't know.
No way. So this
really
is a different
have no
type.
answer. Yeah,
This
I really
is a
have
dangerous
no answer.
one.
Yeah, they don't like talking about it in the world. They say it's
They
not
as
a
in
thing.
doctors?
As in, yeah, whoever they are. They just don't.
Doctors?
Yeah, the doctors.
Kim, we can say that.
I don't know who they are.
The MDs of today's world.
The doctors, or whoever's in Western
Why don't they
medicine.
like talking about it?
Because
What's
it's
your
not. They don't
experience?
really know. They can't give you an answer.
What the hell are these medical schools teaching them?
I mean, not this. You get a few minutes. When I authored
A few minutes of
you
class.
get a few minutes of class to talk about parasites. And see, that's where the really big issue truly is, because they think, us as society, think that when you go poop in the test tubes, the stool test, they get sent and there's all these people examining them, and there's all these big doctors and head honchos. It's probably a lab tech who's 19 or 20 years old.
Yeah, most likely.
Who's been trained for 2
6
months.
months. Yeah, if
6
that.
months. I trained them, me personally. They get 3 minutes to look at the stool. If there isn't anything in that stool that they can recognize, it gets passed on. And then on your lab slip, it says negative for parasites and a nice little asterisk at the bottom that says, this is not in lieu of a parasitic infection.
But it is.
Right. They're saying you don't have a parasite, and in order for your insurance company then to pay for an anti-parasitic, that test had to be positive, or the insurance will not pay for the thousands of dollars an anti-parasitic is. Just go to Mexico. They're $7 there. Literally.
And this is what Dr. Stewart, he's an OBGYN, we were talking about this, is people need to wake up and stop bowing down to their insurance card.
Yeah.
It's be your own doctor for a minute. Just take a footstep back and think about how you can heal yourself.
Yep.
Don't just always go by what your insurance is covering and it's not covering.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take for people to wake up and understand that? This is major.
I think I woke up to it and I'm like, oh, wow. So when I first started my journey in 2019, I had messaged my doctor and I had just had a really intense surgery. It was my 13th surgery. And in 2020, I didn't go to the bathroom for a month. I
No
didn't poop for a month.
way.
That's what started this journey. I didn't poop
And
for
this
a
was
month.
from the parasites?
Yeah.
Because there were so many of
Cryptosporidium parvium,
them?
which was starting to shut my organs down
From the parasites?
from parasites.
So they can do that?
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them?
It
Your
was
body
so,
can't...
Yeah, I was so sick. And so when I messaged my doctor, I said, listen, I've gone poop for a month. I don't know what's going on. I think my endo's back. I'm in excruciating pain, like as if, I hadn't had a surgery in 2019. I'm still in that amount of pain.
Yeah.
And she's like, take some psyllium husk. We cannot do surgery on you again, Kim. You are going to just continue to create more scar tissue. And I already had adenomyosis, which is a scar tissue disease, and I had endometriosis. So they were connecting each other, right? She's like, there's nothing left we can do for you. This is it. You cannot go under again.
Kim, would you say that you've completely healed yourself? Did I ask you this? I
Yeah.
think I did, but I think it's good to confirm.
Yeah, I think that throughout these stages, each one of these ailments that I've had, which I've had a lot of ailments, I'm not, it's just, this is what was given to me in this lifetime in order for me to be able to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But I went
was your journey.
parasites, and then a year later we had mold in our travel trailer, which now I know I actually had multiple different molds in my body, not just from our travel trailer. So I
Wow.
have 11 different molds in my body that range all the way from when I was born.
Now?
Yeah. So my mom had sarcoidosis, which is a deteriorating tissue disease, which I now know is from mold. And
my
I also
gosh.
think my mom has Lyme. She doesn't think she has Lyme, but
So you inherited
yes,
that.
they get passed down to generation in the womb. You can pass mold, you can pass Lyme, and you can pass parasites to your baby in the womb.
Let me ask you a really off-topic question, but then we're going to dive into how we can wash our foods and fruits and
Yeah.
veggies because that's important. Do you think that vaccinations can cause this as well?
I think heavy metals in it can
Okay.
weight it down. I believe that I'm not an
The mercury and
anti-vaxxer,
heavy metal?
but I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
believe that I had to get a lot, I'm going to say upwards of 50 vaccines. I've had 50 vaccines in my body because I'm in the medical field.
Would you?
And my dad was military, and that's,
Yeah, mandatory.
Yeah. My dad was a colonel
Yeah.
in nuclear missiles. That's what my dad did. So,
Wow.
yeah. That's why I'm so structured. That's why I went into medical,
That's
because it's a structured world.
It is.
Yeah, I come from that world.
Very routine oriented.
Like
and structured.
what he did for a living was, I don't know how he did that.
Really?
It was wild.
How was it growing up with a dad like that?
Oh my God, it was wild. I
Was
was
it-
very alternative. always was the black sheep. I was rebellious, always wore Converse. Just really I was always very in tune with myself when it came to my emotions. Yeah, it was fun.
Do you think was it?
It was fun for me, not fun for them.
Yeah. I was going to say, you said you were rebellious. Do you
Yeah.
think that you were rebellious because it was a lot for you to handle?
Oh yeah, I was
I can
awake
imagine
pretty
for a
early
kid.
in life.
Really?
Yeah, I always thought that a lot of this was a bunch of bull. A lot of things were a bunch of bull. But
what
now,
particularly do you think stands out most that you're like, that's ridiculous?
why there's so many controlling things of your human body, really, all the different avenues. Medicine's very controlling.
Mm-hmm.
The military, to me, I get it, but it's controlling.
It is.
Yeah, so just rebellious in that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, he's cool. My dad is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, it's still, my dad was in the army too,
Okay,
the
so you
Russian
get
army.
it.
Yeah. And during the
Oh.
Soviet time, went to war. So I can kind of relate.
Yeah. It's a different life, right?
I would say that it's pretty traumatizing in a way.
Yeah. It's very culty.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
You have to be this way. And my
It
mom
is.
and my sister and my dad are still very much this way. And that's great. That works for them.
It works for them.
I was
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And so it was the three of them and then me,
Mhm. So
and
that's why you felt like you were the black sheep of a family.
little punk rock kid. I was a little hippie kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I tried to color my hair. They didn't like that because you had to go in pictures and stuff. And I always
See, but God already had something planned for
Mhm.
you from such an early age. Like, look at that. You were a very holistic person, like doing
Right.
your own thing from such a young age.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Yep.
What's your favorite
Favorite.
from the mushroom world?
I like Amanita.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
She just helps calm your nervous system down. She doesn't make you have visions. It's not like psilocybin. It's not psychedelic.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just helps go in and calm. They actually structured benzodiazepine around Amanita.
No way.
Yeah. So Amanita's DNA structure is the same, but one little molecule different with benzodiazepine.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that lion's mane is pretty popular.
Lion's mane is great. Lion's mane should be taken with turkey tail. Those two should be together because lion's mane goes in and helps actually heal the brain with the missing neurons. So bad habits are just a neuron misfiring. And that goes in and heals them. And while it's doing that, any sort of scarring that could happen, the turkey tail comes in and cleans up that scarring with the lion's mane. They work together. And then cordyceps and reishi should be taken together because cordyceps goes in and helps the bone while calming the nervous system down.
So there's not one mushroom that can be taken itself, you think?
No, I think you should take an accumulation of them. They all work together. And if you're ever doing any, you should take as many as possible because they love each other. And then a supplement level is around 1 gram of mushroom. But if you're wanting to go to a therapeutic level, you take 5 grams of mushroom. So if you're on like treatments, so chemo, you want to take turkey tail because it's going to help your body break down tumors. If you have dementia or you have brain issues, you should take lion's mane with turkey tail because you're going to help keep your brain healthy while it's breaking other things down and helping with those neurons. When I worked in neurology, because that was one of my specialties was neurology, we had a lot of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and dementia patients take lion's mane at 5 grams.
It's phenomenal. It helps with focus too.
Yeah, it does because it's rewiring your brain. It's one of the few that go through and break through the GABA of your brain. So it goes through the blood barrier.
So there you go. It's people take GABA.
Yeah.
But that it provides it, doesn't it?
Lion's mane. And you can grow it yourself. It's super easy.
Yeah. But it doesn't have a taste to it. I
think
make it with
like
omelet.
Crab. Oh, you do?
Yeah. It's very like squishy, jelly. I don't know. But I eat it for health purposes, obviously.
Well, you look healthy, so it's
thanks,
good.
Kim. So do you.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks to your cleanse. It's amazing.
I love talking about mushrooms. I can talk about them all day. They're my favorites. What got me here? Because I used to take mushrooms and sit and meditate 6 to 8 hours a day for about 6 months.
What do you think about those psychedelic mushrooms?
Oh, I think they're fabulous. I think that when you need to have a full body reset and you really need to go inward, you need to figure out what is going on with you. It's the best thing you can do for your body.
What mushrooms can people take to help guide them with that process?
Psilocybin. So there's levels of different styles. My profile.
Don't say Mexico.
My profile.
Your profile?
His name is Denver Mycology. And I also have Ely. So there's 2 in there. I've used them both because my husband and I used to grow. But when we started Rogers Hood, we had to stop growing because it's almost a full-time job. And then we had to kind of pivot too and finish our log
Isn't
home.
it dangerous though? I mean, you've got to really know about mushrooms because some of them can kill you.
Just one.
What?
Just one.
Which one?
Death cap. You'll eat it once and that's
I
it.
remember when I was growing up in my country, which is Armenia again, I had so many of my relatives that go up and get mushrooms from like the mountains and stuff. But I would be so scared to try them because you just never know. Like I think that it's a different world. And there's this guy I follow actually, Host Defense, I think is his lion's mane. Forgot his name. He's with
Paul Stammen.
Yes.
He's like the godfather of
He
mushrooms.
is the godfather of, but they don't call him mushrooms. He calls them fungi.
Fungi. Fascinated by fungi. I call them mushies because mushrooms get my TikTok account shadowed. Because before
Why? Because
I
it
started,
helps?
Well, before I started on the journey of Worm Queen, I actually had 10,000 followers teaching them how to grow mushrooms and build a log home. I was a homestead. That's where I was on TikTok, was homestead side. So I would teach people about all sorts of mushrooms.
How did you get into that?
I needed to heal my body.
So it goes back to the healing.
Yeah. My husband quit building our log home. He took a break in order to learn how to grow mushrooms. So people like Fresh Cap, Tony from Fresh Cap, taught my husband how to actually grow mushrooms from YouTube.
From what I've learned and what I've read about mushrooms, they can be extremely healing, Kim.
They are.
Like save lives, cancers,
They did me.
tumors.
It saved my life. It saved my life. They saved
So
my
not
life.
only like cleansing and herbs, but also
Mushrooms saved my life. Yeah.
If
That's
there
why
was
I'm so like, that's why
what?
we wear it like a
No
badge
way.
of honor. We just love to pay homage to them. They're just here to help us and to connect us.
Yeah. If oh my gosh, if people are just more aware of how
Hmm.
healing it would be, like I think that it would literally cure the world from so many things.
They're that strong. They're that strong. And if you do things like taking mind altering magic mushrooms and you take them in conjunction with the other mushrooms, they all tell each other what to do. It's like they're their own network. The mycelium network underground.
Some people would understand it as drugs.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call them drugs, if you want to call them drugs,
Right?
what is your intention with those drugs?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are you taking just a little to heal your brain because it can go in and actually like regenerate neurons that are damaged? It can go
So
in
it's
and
not
help
only
heal them.
like a hallucinogen, it
Right.
also heals neurons and
Yeah. It
wow.
has a purpose.
It
It
has a
has a purpose. But we've been so indoctrinated about mushrooms. We've been told that they're bad for us and we
Mhm.
shouldn't do this. Well, you got to
Well,
cook
because
them.
everybody takes advantage of them,
Right.
Kim. I don't think it's the mushroom itself. I think people don't know how to utilize it properly.
Right.
They go and get high off of it and
Hmm.
go and spread stupid crap all over the world. And people are like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is bad.
Hmm.
But if it's healing, I don't think not a lot of people know that
They
it's
don't.
healing.
They don't know it, and they should. They should sit down and just be like, all right, what else can I do to my body to help move this healing journey along?
What about ayahuasca?
I've never done ayahuasca. I've had
Everyone's
some
raving about it.
opportunity to do it. I
Really?
personally don't know if I want to sit around in a group
I mean, you
and
have to do it with
you
a
do.
person
It's
who's
like the whole point
experienced.
for connecting. Have you done ayahuasca?
Never.
Are you going to do ayahuasca?
Probably
Do you
never.
ever do any sort of magic mushrooms?
No,
Have you?
I've never.
You
I don't
never have?
never have. I
Oh,
just like
friend,
the
next time
regular
we're here.
bring me some drugs. Wait till my parents hear this, Kim. I'm like, who's that lady? I love you. You're so funny. But yeah,
Next time.
I've never tried.
we'll
and,
talk offline.
and listen, this is what I'm scared of. I think that a lot of people take it for healing purposes.
Yeah.
But also there's so many therapists saying that it's like a narcissistic approach of
Oh,
healing.
really?
Because it's like this faster way of healing versus actually doing the work of healing, which is, I don't know.
I think it forces you to do the work.
It does for
100% it forces you to do the work.
Talk about that. What do you mean
I
by
wouldn't
that?
be here if I hadn't done all that work.
So you
I literally
were
took
conscious
mushrooms
to healing
every day for
Really?
6 months, and I sat for 6 to 8 hours and I meditated and I went in.
You are kidding me.
No. I have goosebumps because
No way.
I did it
I
for
like goosebumps on my show.
every day I took mushrooms. Not just lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, cordyceps,
You took the
maitake.
funny ones.
I took magic mushrooms every day for 6 months.
Stop.
Yeah, I also combined it with Amanita.
Mhm.
So I would do, sometimes in the morning I would do my Amanita because I was getting off of my benzodiazepine Klonopin after 22 years of being on it, 4 milligrams a day. I had
22
such
years,
terrible
Kim.
PTSD. Yeah, terrible.
Who was
terrible.
the psychiatrist that gave that to you for 22 years?
They just pass it along. Each doctor I would go, they just write that script still. And then I would try and go away from it. And it was so uncomfortable. And I would get withdrawals.
Oh, they're horrible.
And then I would just be like, well, I can't do that. Like, what else can I do? So that's when I started looking at alternative medicine in order for me. And I don't really like the word alternative medicine, but it really is.
Yeah.
For me personally, I needed to find a way. And sometimes magic mushrooms make you go to the bathroom. So I was like, well, hey, if I'm not going to the bathroom right now and I take these mushrooms, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then I'm going to work on my mind at the same time. I didn't take them as a kid that way.
But Kim,
But I
how
do now.
did you sit with those feelings
Oh, it was very tough.
for 6
Because I was going through
months?
a lot. I was going through a lot. I had no contact with my family. So I was working on that. My health was terrible.
Do you think that the emotional distress can cause health
Yes.
dilemmas as
Yes.
well?
I feel like, so after I had no contact for 7 years with my parents, in Christmas this last year, I actually went to their house. I showed up at their house on Christmas Eve with a card and seized candy, and we've talked every day since. Yeah. And my health did another spike in better around March of this year. And I found out I had Lyme on the 26th
Of March?
of
Of this year?
December. So the 24th I saw them. The 26th of December I found out I had chronic Lyme. And then my health wasn't the greatest the end of last year, in the beginning of this year. I was really struggling with a lot of like mental health things and a few physical ailments. Like my hair wasn't really getting thicker and growing back from the mold. And so I started to go back in and figure out in my mind what was going on. And I know it was because my nervous system was so shot from doing all these things to like,
Compromised, yeah.
yeah. So I do believe the nervous system is really like your first way that you need to really focus on anything.
Yeah, and honestly, it is. And also, for a long time, people could be living in like this freeze or flight or like a fawn mode and not really be aware. But what I love hearing you say is that mushrooms kind of woke you up into
Yes.
that fight mode
Yeah,
where you really woke up and said, I really need to take charge of my life. Like,
Yes.
what am I doing?
it did 100%. I was very fortunate that my husband was like, I'm just going to build this log home and I'm going to let you sit in the yard
Do
every
your
day if
thing.
you need to and meditate and
My
really just get
gosh.
after it. And yeah,
So 6 months.
6
It
months.
took you 6 months to kind of be like, okay, this is what I need to do.
Yep, 6 months.
And look at what you've created.
I know, it's been wild. This is a wild journey. I never thought I would.
Difficult too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, and we have 30 employees, so like you don't get to have like a bad day,
Mhm.
right? You don't get to be like, this was so stressful in life. You don't get to do that. You have to
Yeah.
like stay focused and you're on camera and you're doing all of the things. And I'm just kind of rolling with it all. I don't really have like a plan.
You are such an amazing person. I mean, like going
Thanks.
through also the things that you've went through, you're so kind
Thanks.
and you still smile and you're funny. You're hella funny. You crack jokes. I mean, like, look, when I meet people all the time, and when I
Mhm.
meet someone that's had like not such an easy lifestyle, I always think like, wow, like how courageous this person is that she's still able to heal other people from this experience. It's like you don't want people to go through what you went through.
Right. And definitely, I don't want them to be alone because when you're chronically ill, you are alone
You are.
every day.
There's
and
no
you don't have
sympathy
anyone
or
to know.
empathy. Yeah.
It's hard to find a community. You don't understand who to talk with because you don't think they understand. And so
Yeah.
when you get community, and that was my biggest thing. I had 10,000 strong when I was building my log home and doing mushrooms. This community was just really helping and guide me. And then when I went viral on TikTok in July of 21, I learned all of this really from my community.
That
As
they were
soon-
alone.
Yeah, that they were alone and this information and just really developing and honing in on how I could help my community, which were all self-healers and chronically ill. So I say chronically healing now because I don't want to say I'm chronically ill. I'm chronically healing.
Yeah, change that.
Yeah, because your
Perspective.
words have power.
Thank
so
you.
I'm not ill.
Mother Nature listens.
She
child.
does.
You're not. You're doing such a phenomenal job and you're serving your purpose.
I am.
I'm so happy. Before we go, can
Yeah.
you tell us how we can properly wash our fruits, our meats, cook, all that
Yes.
stuff? Because I want to know what I'm doing. Because sometimes I'll be so hungry and I'll just grab a strawberry and just eat it without. Yes, I'm guilty of that. I am guilty.
Strawberries are the worst.
I know they've got a lot of like nasty worms in those little things. I've actually had washed it with vinegar, and I've had a few from Trader Joe's
Oh my gosh.
pop out, and they were organic too. So okay, tell us.
Okay.
What are we
2
doing?
cups of vinegar, a half of
Okay.
a lime, 2 tablespoons of sea salt, and 1 gallon of distilled or filtered water. It has to be distilled or filtered.
Okay, why?
Do not use tap water because you're
course.
just recontaminating
Oh, of course,
your
with
produce.
chlorine and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just, and parasites are notorious in the water
Or filtered water, right?
or
you
filtered
said?
water. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and you let it soak 5 to 10 minutes. And then
Okay.
I've taken it a step further. I use the Therasage bubbler, which is an ozone machine. It's about this big.
Is it on Amazon?
Nope, it's through Therasage. Just go to therasage.com.
Okay, I'll get the link and I'll
Yeah,
link
it's
it
in my
for everybody.
profile.
Okay.
Therasage is the best. It's like $100. It's an ozone machine, so it
Which
pumps
bubbles
ozone
it up?
gas. Yeah, so you
I've seen
put,
those.
so then okay, so you soak your produce, you rinse your produce, you let it sit 5 to 10 minutes, you rinse it, then you throw it in again, filtered or clean water. Then you throw this thing, this like tube, and it's got like this little rock on the end of it. So it's pushing the ozone into the water, creating that to be ozone water, which then is going to remove more bacteria, more pesticides that the first soak did not. It takes about 30 minutes, but your produce is going to last longer. It's going to look prettier, and it's going to be crunchy again because you're removing all the bacteria that's trying to eat the produce, right? Eat the grapes, eat whatever. So that's the way I do my soaks now, and I have great luck.
Okay. So first do it with the vinegar, the salt, the lime, let it sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then in a separate clean water, put the machine and the veggies. How long do we soak it there?
It's about 10 minutes. There's
10
buttons.
minutes.
There's 5 buttons. It actually can make ozone water that you can swish in your mouth. Ozone is
I know.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I use it every day, like when I'm in my water pick and.
Okay. So that's how. What about our what do we look for in our fish, in our meats? Does chicken have parasites? It does. I stopped eating pork because of you, by the way.
Oh.
We have this barbecue, and it's called ikibir. Gosh, she's gonna be like, it's so delicious. It's like a part of the pork, right? It's so delicious. I am freaked out about it. I don't even touch pork anymore.
Probably a good idea.
Because of those parasites. I'm like, I don't know what's living in there. And they're so delicious, though, those little barbecues.
Pork is so good.
It's so good, but I stopped. Ever since I found you, Kim, I've stopped eating a lot of things.
The pigs are rolling in their poop, man.
I know.
They're
eating their own kind, too.
And then the parasites are just in their muscle and their tissue, and we're eating that. And it's just,
they're heavy. I know.
Well,
I've done some research. It's ridiculous.
Salmon's my favorite. So
yes.
I think that's probably why I attack salmon so much. I love salmon. I miss it. I won't eat it. I can't get past it. I will eat like crab only if it's like steamed. And I do eat some lobster here and there. But I immediately either parafy before to prep my body, or I'll parafy after.
Oh my goodness.
Because you can use it as a digestive aid.
So there's no way of, so we have to cook it on 172, you said?
Or
270.
I say 212.
212.
Boiling is really the only way you're killing.
Okay. So boil the fish or any of the meats. And then for the produce, we wash it. Same thing with fruits. Wash it very well with your recommendation.
Yeah.
And then take it from there and then cleanse 3 times a year.
3 to 4 times a year.
3 to 4 times a
Seasonally
year.
is really what it used to be like, was seasonally.
Okay. Any teas like you recommend to drink, like tea?
Hawthorn berry, really, if you have a tapeworm or you suspect you have a tapeworm, they don't like it. You know the bear videos I always post where they got them coming out?
Yeah.
They go and eat the hawthorn. They know to go eat hawthorn because instinctually their body is extracting the tapeworm out. So they're able to do that by going and eating the hawthorn.
Okay.
It's
gnarly.
the best.
Oh because it's so gnarly.
I'm going to start saying gnarly.
It just fits, Kim, thank you so much for coming. I know you were here. You're not here for a long time too, right? You're going to leave.
Right. We've been here. We started our podcast.
No way.
Yeah.
Here?
We started filming our podcast on Saturday.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we have like 2 parts to our podcast. We have our talking part, and then we have we're showing people the modalities that you can use, like cryotherapy, cold plunging, red light. Like, what does all of this look like? How easy is it to do?
Cold plunging is the thing now.
Oh, it's the best. I've been doing it for years.
Oh, yeah. I do it on my skin.
It's amazing.
I do it on my face.
It's amazing.
Just dip it in ice water for a few times.
Get your lymphatic going.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
We're showing everyone how you can do these things, how easy it is.
This is amazing. I'm going to link your page and everything and how people can get in contact with you. And thank you so much for joining me today. It was such an honor to have you. And I'm so happy that you shared your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.